Graham Potter and Dan Ashworth to United as part of Ineos's big move in January. Ten Hag's future is very much on the line, and while he might be safe after Anfield, when Ineos do come in the next month, it seems they have a plan that doesn't involve Ten Hag. But will Ten Hag be given time? There's few reports about Rafa Varane leaving on a free, Donny van der Beek leaving, and some potential January transfer business coming out. The medical team could be getting the sacked, and Luke Shaw might be available to play at Anfield. So hello, welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Please do hit that like button, subscribe down below if you're new, and let's get into your Man United news roundup. So we've got 3 different sets of stories coming in on Potter. We're going to go from least reliable to reliable. So we'll start with this story by Neil Custis of The Sun, and then we'll get into what the more reliable reporters have said, which is pretty much along the same lines. But it was said by Neil Custis of The Sun that Graham Potter is being lined up to replace Ten Hag at Man United. Surgeon Ratcliffe has met Potter and favours him as the new boss of United as if he fires Ten Hag. It was said that Ratcliffe is set to buy 25% of Manchester United next week and will immediately take over football operations, and a heavy loss on Sunday against Liverpool could be the final straw for Ten Hag. So they're saying that Ratcliffe's going to come into United next week and take over football operations, which will then mean that Ten Hag's future is at risk, and he's suggesting that actually a heavy loss to Liverpool could be the final straw for Erik Ten Hag. Now, I've heard a few different things that I want to get into in just a second, but it was also said by Alex Crook that Graham Potter is a contender to replace Erik Ten Hag as Manchester United manager should the Dutchman be sacked. Potter's work is admired by Surgeon Ratcliffe, who is set to complete his 25% stake in Man United imminently. Potter is also close to Dan Ashworth, who's being monitored for sporting director role at United from their days working together at Brighton. So these were the 2 main stories, and then we'll get in the third story. So what I've heard and what's sort of been said by sources like The Athletic and more credible sources is very much that Ten Hag's job is safe for now, but as soon as Ineos come in, his job is on the line, and that Graham Potter is someone that Ineos have been a big fan of. We've been linked to Graham Potter since summer. Do you know what I mean? Like really early on, and it's been said since really early on that Ineos were a fan of Potter. There's no doubt in my mind that Graham Potter is number 1 contender to replace Ten Hag when Ineos come in. Whether you like that or not, we can have a debate about that if Ten Hag just gets sacked. But there's no doubt in my mind from the information we've heard that they are a big fan of Graham Potter. What he did at Brighton, we bring him in with Dan Ashworth. Now, Dan Ashworth is at Newcastle at the moment, but he did a brilliant job at Brighton in recruitment, worked very closely with Potter, and they had a lot of success at Brighton. He's now gone to Newcastle, got his recruitment pretty well. And look, if Dan Ashworth and Potter go to United, I mean, I think Dan Ashworth is absolutely brilliant, and I think that Potter's a good manager that plays good football. But with Potter, he failed at Chelsea, which is a club that is very much like United, but at least at Chelsea, they throw the money at you. United is Chelsea without the crazy owners wanting to spend crazy money and break all these FFP rules. I do think that Graham Potter could struggle at United because he struggled at Chelsea. I don't think he's a bad manager, but you have to be a certain type of manager to come to a top club and work under this ownership. That's why every single manager has failed. Moyes is not a bad manager. Mourinho is not a bad manager. Van Gaal's not a bad manager. I don't even think Ole was a bad manager. But everyone fails at United because of the structure. And I think Potter's not a bad manager. But I think at United, you need to be this elite, crazy level Sir Alex Ferguson manager now to survive. So there is reports that Ten Hag could be sacked after Anfield. I don't think he'll be sacked after Anfield, but I think when Ineos come in, his job is on the line. There's some suggestions Ineos will give him till the end of the season. Unless it gets really dire, they'll look to bring in Graham Potter. It was actually said by odds on FPL that the new manager under Ineos will be the head coach rather than what we know now as manager. Transfer decisions will be made for him with the long-term plan being players fit, one underlying ethos and system. This is very in contrast to what we've been doing post Sir Alex Ferguson, signing players that suit the current manager and leading the manager from one different era to different play styles, different systems all the time. And he said there is a reason why every manager needs to revamp, and it's due to the players not fitting their system. Going forward, we will be signed fitting into system players like the Red Bull. So basically what he's suggesting is Ineos' plan is to sign players from now on that are going to fit the system. So what that means is instead of just bringing in a manager and buying loads of players that suit this one manager, Ineos have this idea of how they want to play, the kind of football they want to play, kind of like the RB clubs, and they'll assign the players and then the manager to suit that. So they see that they've got Graham Potter. They want to sign the type of players that could suit Graham Potter football. Now, it's the complete opposite to what we're doing. It's a good approach if done well, a bad approach if done poorly, because you need to back the manager. But it's more about they want a head coach instead of a manager. and they have this idea and vision of how they want United to play. So it can work if it's done effectively, if recruitment's done effectively. And if you bring in someone like Dan Ashworth and Paul Mitchell, there's potential it can work. And I think, to be honest, United need to, completely change everything. And this is a complete change if they bring in Dan Ashworth and Graham Potter. And I think that's probably needed. It was also said as well by the Muppeteers, from what I hear, I expect under Ineos that United have a lot more front-facing individuals rather than it being pretty exclusively the manager. He said the CEO and director of football being more public figures around the club as well as the players, rather than it all being on the manager, which I think is needed, because I think everything seems to be focused on the manager. Right, now talking of the manager, these were 3 reports spoken about Ten Hag that contradict a little bit of what's been said. It was said that by James Ducker that Ten Hag's job is expected to become increasingly vulnerable once Ratcliffe takes control of Manchester United's football operations, unless there's dramatic improvement on the pitch after a torrid past few months. And that was said by James Ducker, and I've been saying this as well. I think that he is fine now, but Ratcliffe is coming in very soon, and when Ratcliffe comes in, he's very vulnerable, particularly if things don't improve. But Chris Wheeler did say there is no appetite at the moment among the current regime to sack Ten Hag, even though it's accepted that he's got to start winning games to protect his position. He said that there is sympathy for Ten Hag because he's been hit with a crippling injury list this season and had to work against the backdrop of the club's takeover, as well as battling several off-field disruptions, including Mason, Anthony, and Sancho. And I think that is every reason to have a bit of sympathy for Ten Hag. It's been a crazy hard season, and that's why I'm willing to give Ten Hag until the end of the season. But what we need to see from Ten Hag is a little bit of style of play, a little bit of what you want to do. We need to see improvement. We need to see a direction. And even if the results aren't 100% going our way, if we can see direction, if we can see your side to get best at players and an idea of what you want to do and an idea that it's working and it's making the players play some decent stuff, then we're more likely to back you as a fan base. I think for me, I want to see more than results now. And I know it's a results-based business, but more than results now, because I think the season's pretty much written off. I just want to see something that makes me excited about the future on the Ten Hag, something that makes me go, yeah, this guy, he's got a plan, he knows what he's doing. That's what I want to see. And there are reports that Ineos will give him to the end of the season unless things get awfully bad. In terms of transfer news, it said that United are basically just going to let Donny go out on loan and pay his wages, and just do anything to get him on loan. Laurie Whitwell did say that Varane's contract runs out in 2024, which is in the summer, but he's got an option to extend to 2025. And Varane can talk to foreign clubs in January if he wants. So United, you need to extend this, because I'm all for losing Lindelof on free in the summer, but not Varane. If we give Lindelof a new contract extension and not Varane, I'll be fuming. Varane is good enough for United. Give him a new contract extension. Sell him to Saudi Arabia in the summer. Lindelof is not good enough for United. Don't extend his contract. Let him walk for free in the summer. That's how I see it. But no, it'll be Varane that walks for 3 and then Lindelof gets a new contract. Classic United. In other news, it was said that Manchester United are overhauling their medical setup after launching an internal review of crucial department, and that is good. It seems that basically Ineos are going to come in. They're going to make some massive changes. They're going to change the medical structure. They're going to bring in Blanc. They might be bringing in Ashworth, Paul Mitchell. They might even be scrapping this manager approach and going with a head coach and having their own style of football they want to implement and play, and buy players for that. It seems that Ineos are going to make some massive changes at United. And to be honest, considering we've been failing for the last 11 years and all we've been doing is just sacking a manager, sacking another manager, I think it gets to the point where we know if we sack this manager, we'll be here in 2 years. We need to make the big changes. We need to actually do this big clear out. We need to actually change the structure of this club, and then maybe the manager goes afterwards. But big changes is needed at Manchester United. Now, to round up today's video, I think that Ten Hag will be safe no matter what happens at Anfield, but I think as of January, when Ineos gets ratified, his job is very much on the line, especially if things don't pick up. As soon as it looks like top 4 is no longer an option, that's when Man United normally sack managers. Part of me thinks they will give Ten Hag to the end of the season, that actually give Ten Hag time this time. A small part of me does think that, because I don't think we've got the money to sack a manager, and I think they're at the point where even the club know, even the stupidest people in the club know that actually we need to change those players. These players have constantly got managers sacked first, so maybe we'll get to the end of the season if things aren't awful. But I think things need to improve, because it's very obvious that Graham Potter is admired by Ratcliffe and Ineos, and he is available as well. Anyway, people, please do smash that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.